Hey crew, good to have you with me again. Dan here. Today I'm going to run through the 5 elements of what it takes to totally ace your swing away. Okay, let's go. Alright, so 5 elements of self-mastery which I work through is your mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, behavioral. Okay, let's go through those things in detail. So first of all, we'll work through your mindset or your mental. Alright, your mindset is basically your set of beliefs. It's your thought patterns that you have. It's your attitude. Okay, so those things are really, really important. Okay, you can control your attitude. You can totally control your attitude. But if you're living from like a past set of beliefs that were instilled by you, say by society or by some groups that you're in, or family beliefs or cultural or racial beliefs, belief systems that are in there, they may be actually working against you and actually working against your attitude and playing out in like self-sabotaging kind of areas of your life. Okay, so it's really, really important to keep a healthy attitude. And the way we can do that, just a simple, brief way to look at it, is to actually, every time we do something or think about something or a call to action, we need to look at our motivations, like why. Why do we actually want to do that sort of thing? And trace it back to the thought form that is the instigator of why. So let me give you a quick example. So why do I feel compelled to maybe, I don't know, every day after work on the mine site, go and have a beer or 2 or 4 with the guys, right? Why? Sure, it's a release. It's an end to the day. It's a nice way to kind of catch up and just kind of like relax and feel like I'm part of a community again. It's a nice way to actually deal with the things that might be bothering me. I might be able to say, okay, I can get through the day as long as I can have my 4 or 5 beers down at the tav afterwards. Okay, cool. Well, guess what? All those things are based upon beliefs, because you can do all those things in other ways, possibly more healthy ways. And I'm not saying that going to the tavern is like a negative thing, but if it is becoming a problem, then it's something you might want to look at. Now, that's just an example. There'll be many other areas in your life that'll play out that way. Like, and flip it around and look at it, say, when you're at home. And you might be like, well, why is it that I have to kind of go out and party and, you know, buy this and buy that and have a nice car and, you know, do this, all these things? Is it because you have to justify your time away? So, you know, you might say, well, I work hard, so I play hard. I want to enjoy the fruits of what I'm working towards. Or you might be someone that's like, look, I'm going to actually totally make sure that while I'm away, I'm going to achieve this goal. It might be to buy properties. It might be to achieve a savings goal or something along those lines. Either way, they're all based upon beliefs that you have about what's important for you, and they're motivating you. So this is why it's really important, especially look at your beliefs, because they motivate you to other actions. Okay, let's move on to emotional. Okay, so emotional factors that we have to look at. Okay, keeping yourself balanced emotionally. Now, how do you do that? Well, for a start, what you don't want to do is be in the pattern where you're actually totally squashing down your emotions and you're keeping them down in your gut. Okay, you're squashing them down because that stuff is going to cause you stress. It's going to basically create cortisol, and it's actually going to start eating away at your energy. It's going to start eating away at your motivation, and it could possibly become a load that you carry that starts making you feel a bit depressed. That's why feeling depressed, it feels like you're carrying a load, okay, because you're squashing things down, you're feeling the weight within you. And while a lot of us do this through overeating, a lot of us do this through drinking, a lot of us can do this through, say, like sex, like, you know, or, you know, escapism in many different ways. We might be someone who escapes like through thrill seeking or whatever it is that you do, whatever your vice is. You know, that's cool that you have it, but look at the motivations of why you do it and make sure that it isn't that you're trying to actually squash something down. Because if you're squashing something down, you're not living your fullest. You're not being the truest version of yourself. You're not being open and upfront and like feeling light and in groove and in flow with who you really are and being comfortable with that. Okay, so let's talk about physical. All right, clearly physical, taking care of your physical body is really, really important. And I know a lot of you guys have gyms out there, and I know that a lot of you use the gyms. I believe the stats are about 1/3 of you guys and gals are using the gyms on site, and that's really cool. It's really a fantastic outlet to have. I used to go to the gym all the time when I was working offshore, and it was a total go-to and a nice way to connect with other guys and girls outside of the workplace. So that's really good. However, talking about the body, you know, so like I was the chef on board, I was the chief cook, and I would have everyone come through and they would pick their food and I'd see what everybody eats. And there's a phrase, and I've said it before, offshore we used to say, you can either get fit or you can get fat. And a lot of times that is comes down to your food choices and what you're looking to provide. Now I know as a chef, we wanted our guys and gals to be really happy. We knew that coming to the mez was a great place where people would connect and they felt at home. So we wanted to make foods that were going to kind of be like soul food and make you feel better. However, it wasn't always what was best for you. It might have been what you desired, but it might not have been what was the best for you. Okay, and what I mean by that is, it wasn't always high energy food. It might have been, fatty, tasty food, might have been seasoned to the point where it was just totally hitting your pleasure centers and it was so yummy. And I've seen that from the inside as someone who's been, trying to make people enjoy the food. That was my living for many, many, many years, right? So it's not always the healthiest choice. I know some sites will run healthy choice options and things like that, and that's great. So you can actually choose to feed yourself healthier, lower fat, lower carb, lower salt choices. You can eat more salad. And you've probably seen that they have a range of buffets and things like that to choose from. So it's about making the best choice that you can at the time. Maybe it's not always your favorite food out there, but certainly you can make the best choice that you can and, reward yourself for good behavior. Have a little dessert every now and then. You don't need to have it every night just because it's there. You don't need to have 3 steaks just because, it's an abundance of steak. You can have a steak and you can have some salad and you can eat some fruit and you can eat clean and you can take care of your physical self that way. So you're feeling lighter and you actually have less food to digest, which leaves you more energy for your body to heal itself. So you're getting fitter from the inside out, not just at the gym. But also, sleep is really important. Sleep is a huge part of your physical rehabilitation system. It's part of what keeps you healthy, what keeps you totally on point. And it affects your mental, your mindset. It affects your emotional balance. These things are all in synergy. And this is why I work with self-mastery, because when we cross-train all of them, they all have exponential benefits on each other, which means doing just say mindset mastery isn't actually good enough. We know, for example, when you meditate and you're lifting weights, then they have an almost amplification effect on each other. For example, when you meditate, you learn to focus better. You learn to actually kind of hold your awareness with something and zero in on what you're doing. And if you've ever lifted weights and you've ever tried to say hit a PB or something like that, you've got to be totally one point. You've got to totally focus on what you're doing, psych yourself up and hit that target and smash that goal. All right? And when you smash that goal and you get through a certain barrier, it helps you then hold your mindset even stronger, say when you're in meditation. Instead of those thoughts kind of coming in, you're no, I'm fucking well strong. I can hold this boundary and I acknowledge the thought that's coming into my head, but right now, this is what I'm focusing on. And you start to develop these core abilities in these totally what seems unrelated areas because we've kind of cross-trained them all. Okay, so, all right, so we've covered mindset, we've covered emotions, we've covered physical. So let's get into spiritual. All right, so your spiritual well-being. Now, I'm not talking about a dogmatic religion or anything like that, but I'm just talking about the understanding that it's not all just about me, that there is more of us out there and we are actually connected in one way, shape, or form. Whether you believe in metaphysical science or whether you believe in a prescribed religion, it's totally up to you. It's just about getting out of yourself and totally almost just kind of welcoming in a greater mind, understanding that there is a higher part to even yourself, that there is, within a group, there's a group synergy and there's something that happens in a group and we all start firing off each other and we all start feeling more as one, feeling more as a whole. This is why I say in any kind of teamwork, that spiritual element or that wholeness is really, really important part of not just our well-being, but the group well-being. And corporations understand that this is a big part of actually kind of getting a higher yield performance out of the team. So I totally implore you to kind of at least connect through meditation in some way and to kind of transcend and almost experience yourself as less as a dense physical being and more as an energetic particle within the relationship of all the other energetic particles which are part of the universe. And I have prescribed, I've actually prescribed on my one-on-one courses meditation for every particular person depending on their disposition and what they need. I've been a meditation teacher for some time, and so I can actually help tailor something to you that works, but I certainly encourage you to at least embrace an exercise of some sort which helps you identify more of yourself with, say, energy or a greater mind or a higher part of yourself, okay? Now, the last aspect that I'm going to cover today is your behavior. So behavioral mastery is really, really important because we can have all these 4 other core developments in place, but unless it translates to an enhanced behavior, well, is it really manifesting? Is it really showing up in our life? Are we behaving any better? And the answer is probably not, okay? So I train men and women actually in self-mastery when they're at home and when they're away, and we come up with strategies to actually kind of both elements, because it doesn't matter if you're on a 3-in-1 roster, it doesn't matter if you're on a 3-in-3 or a 4-in-4, whatever it is, we come up with a strategy for you so that you can actually leverage your lifestyle to actually be a better person, develop more like massive shifts in your personality to actually align yourself to like a higher way of being and actually release untapped energy so that you can use it for creative purposes rather than actually using it just to kind of get by. You know what I mean? Sometimes we're just kind of getting by when we're out, on a long swing. So your behavior is really important. So here's a quick example. You do all this work while you're away. For example, you're working on your eating habits, you're developing like really good sleep routines, you're going to the gym, you're meditating daily, you're connecting to a higher part of yourself, and you're learning how to become more sensitive to that. You're learning how to read yourself more sensitively, okay? You're really starting to feel more whole as a being rather than this isolated person who's kind of like away from friends and family and out there doing it on your own, okay? You start to actually think better thoughts. You start to place better goals and create better desires and start all of a sudden magnetically attracting these things into your life. But how are you behaving? Are you paying it forward? Are you coming from a place of gratitude? Are you actually, giving of yourself in a way that, is reflected back to you? Like in psychology, it's called projection. So if I'm feeling really poor and I'm self-loathing about myself, then I am subconsciously projecting this out into the world around me, and then other people treat me in such a way which reinforce this belief and show me why I'm just unworthy. But when I start to make these massive shifts in my life, and I start behaving in this way, and I start to give more of myself, then I notice others are giving more back to me, and I'm starting to attract this into my life. And it's like the penny just drops. And it's like, oh, wow. It's like if you knew that if you put like $100 into something and you got 150 back, you would do it, right? So if you know that if you behave a certain way and in some way, shape or form, it comes back to you, but in a better way because it resonates back to you where you are now, which might be a higher place than where you were a couple of weeks ago. And most of my clients experience like huge shifts on a weekly basis. I run a program that goes for 3 months. From 0 to the 3-month point, like we're talking like an exponential curve that kicks off. It's amazing. So here's the thing. Do you want to continue living your life in the way that you have been and getting the results that you always have? And maybe winding up in a place where you don't actually know what it is that you're doing out there, right? Well, you might know, but you're not. You're realizing that these other things are coming up that you might not be dealing with so well. Or do you want to actually invest in yourself, put the time and energy into yourself to amplify and become the highest version of yourself so that way you can go out there and smash your goals and actually live a life of meaning, value, and purpose? I mean, the answer's on the wall, really, but are you ready for it? Anyhow, listen, if you want to get in touch and you want to know more, check out my videos that are coming up, click subscribe, and maybe get in touch, drop me a line. We can get on the phone and have a quick 20-minute discovery call for free, and just see where you're at and see if we can vibe off each other. At the end of the day, I don't care if you work with me, but I care that you maybe do something to improve yourself. The statistics are just way too high out in the mining and offshore industries. 33% of people suffering psychological distress is just way too high. I want to get that number down. You would want to get that number down because you're out there. And I know when I was out there, I was one of those statistics. And I was fortunate enough to turn my life around. Anyway, that's enough from me. Look, again, if you want to get in touch, take some positive action, okay? Get in touch and let's do this. Let's see if it's for you. All right, guys, take care. Until next time.